So I say, welcome everyone to the introduction to NeuroGoal, which is algorithm number 8 in the Neurographica algorithm series. And well, the title says it all, what this algorithm is about. By the way, I'm going to answer this question later. Okay, this will be a question for the Q&A. So I'm going to have a Q&A at the end, and I'm going to answer that. But yeah, now just as an introduction, NeuroGoal is all about goals, all about our intentions. And I want to share to begin with, for everyone who's not like completely comfortable with goals, maybe, or we're going to kind of check in to what your relationship with goals actually is. I can share that when I first did this course, I was not a goal person at all. Like, I never set any goals, basically. For me, life just kind of happens the way it happens. And I wasn't really aware of my goals. But of course, everyone has some kind of inner goals, inner intentions that we carry. So it's on the one hand about bringing those out and actually becoming aware of what is, what are the underlying things that might help me make certain decisions, for example. What do I want in life? Finding that out, refining that, breaking that into little pieces so that we can actually go about it, which was really, really helpful for me. It's also very, very much about extending our comfort zone. This is what we're going to do in the course today. We're all going to look at where do our goals come from, which I feel is one of the inquiries that I really want to do before I actually go into the course. The course is very much about, okay, how can we go about it? How can we stay motivated? How can we keep the focus? What propels us? What pushes us towards things, even if they're hard, for example? Or how do we stay on track if our goal is in 5 years I want something? How do we kind of keep motivated over a long time while everyday life is happening. But today, what I wanted to start with was really an inquiry about why do we want certain things? Because I can share from my personal experience, when I first did that, I realized that some of the goals that I thought I wanted were things that kind of came from my surrounding more than from my heart. And I feel that that makes a big difference. No, this is why I could never stay on track. This is why I got distracted and lost motivation for certain things, because they did not originate inside of me. They did not come from my core. They were things that people talked about and things that other people wanted. And so sometimes I feel follow the goals of the world around us. And so today is really about checking in, where am I in that? Why do I want that? And we're going to dig a little bit deep. And this is what Neurographica can do. So I hope it's a good demonstration of where we can go with this method. Before we start, as many of you know, I always like to make a quick check-in. So we're going to do that first. So I invite everyone to just sit comfortable for a moment. It's good if you can place your feet on the ground, if you can straighten up your spine a little bit. And if you wish to, if it feels comfortable, you can close your eyes for a moment and just be in yourself and check in with yourself. And taking a few deep breaths, connecting to your body, and just observing whatever is happening in there, whatever is happening inside of you. And if there's anything that wants to be released or relaxed right now, you can just release it with a breath. I always like to sigh or sound as well. Then checking in with your emotions. What kind of state are you in right now? How do you feel? What are the words that might come up or the sensations that come up? And where is your mind right now? Is it wandering? Is it concentrated? Is it asking questions? And then I would like to invite you to just feel into goal. When I say goals, what comes up for you? How does a goal, just the word, just the term, feel in your body? What is your first reaction? What kind of emotion might be connected to it? And where are your thoughts going? Let me just speak this word, think this word, goals. Just becoming aware of it without any judgment. We just want to be where we are and start from this point. Whatever your relationship to goals is, whatever your experience is. We're just doing this very quick check-in, just taking a few more deep breaths. And see where it takes you, what comes up. What is your mind chatter about goals? Maybe you have judgments, maybe you're excited about them, maybe your body feels in a certain way suddenly. And just one more breath. And then I invite you to just bring a little bit of movement in your body. You can wiggle your toes or your fingers, maybe move your shoulders, move any part of your body that might feel like it wants to change or just shift a little bit, or where there might be a little bit of tension to be released. I can definitely feel my shoulders right now, my neck. And then you can invite your hands to just go wherever they feel good on your body, connecting with yourself and coming back into the space. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. And today, because when we talk about goals, there are a lot of thoughts, usually. We will actually start with a very quick writing exercise that we often do in Neurographica. So anyone who's done a course with me, you know the exercise. We're going to write just keywords, just a stream of consciousness, whatever comes up when we think of goal. What are your goals? And this is not about thinking hard and making decisions. This is just about pouring out whatever comes up. It can have nothing to do with it. No, it can be about, I don't know, my shoulders are tense, for example, when I think of that. So I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes. Everybody gets you a piece of paper and a pen. I'm going to drink a sip of water. Oh, I need some tea here, actually. So we're just feeling into it, and you allow yourself to just write. Don't even reread the words or anything. It's really not important. Just allow your brain to kind of dump it out. I like to call this a brain dump too. Okay, so we'll set 2 minutes, starting now. Okay, so that was 2 minutes. I hope something's happened for you. Linda, it's okay that you got here late. No worries. You are just in time. We didn't even start drawing yet. Okay, so now we look at the list of words that came up. And I would like to invite you to just choose 3 different things that you consider your goal for now. And you can just spontaneously, they don't have to be the big life goals. It's not like important. It's just the ones that you want to explore today. And you can underline them or mark them somehow in your on your piece of paper. And they can be surprising. Mine, for example, I didn't think that I would choose the ones that I'm choosing here right now. Okay, so I have 3. I hope everybody got something. Gwen says my list is very general feeling, energy kind of words. That's okay. Can you extract something out of that? Maybe how you want to feel. Or, just, it's really not, I'm just kind of showing you the process of how to do this. And then whenever you feel ready to really work with a goal, then you can also still do that. Or, just kind of spontaneously come up with something. I'm going to change my camera and then we're going to start drawing. So what you can do is actually use the paper in an upright position, so in like a portrait format like that. I'm not going to be able to do that because of my camera view, so I'm going to go with the picture like this. But it can actually be really interesting and activating to do the picture the other way around, so you just basically translate it. And if you do that, you start on the bottom side with the first element that we're drawing. Or maybe just about drawing materials. I like Sharpies. So when I demonstrate something, I often use Sharpies. Or these nice, beautiful drawing pens. So maybe I'm actually going to draw with the nice color today. Oh, beautiful. I love the goals that you guys share. Thank you. Share, smile, music. Wonderful. A weekly goal of yoga and drinking more water. Also nice. Get through the difficulties of pregnancy and have a successful natural birth. Big goal. Yeah. Happy living in nature with friends. Beautiful. I love it. Okay, so now we're going to start. As I said, like if you use your paper in a portrait format, so like basically 90 degrees turn from mine, you're going to start on the bottom of the page. I'm going to start on the left. And I'm going to draw just like a half a circle on the edge, just to make some space here. And this is going to be the space where I can actually explore. And then on top of that, I'm going to set 3 triangles. Triangle is one of the Neurographica elements, one of the abstract shapes that we work with a lot in the NeuroGoal course. So I'm just going to say on the edge of my circle, there are 3 triangles that point for you upwards, from me to the right. 1, 2, and 3. And then I will name those. So these are my 3 goals that we're going to work with today. And I chose to just do 3. We can do, of course, a lot more in a drawing, but it's actually nice to do it little by little. Okay, so for me, one of my goals is to grow my business. And that, of course, is a general goal. And I'm going to explore that. And then I have a goal that was surprising to me, that traveling and to do live events, which is interesting because I haven't thought about that before, but I would really love to do that one day. Okay, so I have named my 3 things that I want to work with. Now, the first thing that we do is we start digging down. And so we first go kind of below them and ask, okay, what is sitting below that? And we can add circles. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to ask myself, why do I want to grow my business? What is the need, the idea, the wish, the dream behind that? What makes me have this goal? I'm going to here. Okay, why do I want to grow my business? And you can ask yourself, why do you want whatever you want? And the way I work with inquiries like that is that I just open my consciousness for inner insights. When I set a question like that, I don't think really hard. I just open up to the first thought that I have. And the first thought for me was that I want stability. So that's what's underlying this. So what is under your goal? What is the next level underneath it? And then, of course, we can dig deeper. Why do I want stability? And I can draw another circle below that. Circles can overlap. Circles don't have to be perfect. And I ask myself, okay, why do I want stability? Why is that important for me? And I feel like it has to do with just growing, establishing myself in life, maybe also in a way starting to grow older, having my first gray hairs. So just think about why. Oh, we're going to keep asking the question why. Why do I want that? Why is that important for me? So I'm going to say it could also, yeah. I want to have an established life. And that has to do with my family. I want family life. And I feel that that can give that to me. And here you see we could literally go like infinitely further. I'm going to leave it at that. You can, of course, inquire as much as you have space right now, maybe, or as much as kind of feels good for you. Whenever you feel like, oh, I could, of course, continue asking questions. And I'm going to do that with the other ones too. And ask myself, okay, why do I want to travel? I've traveled so much in the past and I miss it. Well, for me, whenever I ask the question, the answer's already there. So it's really all about just opening your mind to the first little hunch, the first answer that naturally comes up inside of you. Why is that? And sometimes it might come up that, it's because other people do it. Because I see it so much, because successful people travel. So that could be where I have to question my goal. I have to ask myself, okay, is this really, is this really so important to me? So let's just spend a few moments, a few minutes exploring what you have there. My next question, why do I miss traveling? What do I miss about it? The newness. the adventure of it. It's not that I have a boring life, but I have a very steady life, very being in one place all the time. And even though I love the place, sometimes it's good to have something new in my life. So why do I need that? It's like for stimulation. When I feel more stimulated, I have more ideas, I'm more creative. No, I could really go down the rabbit hole. Maybe here is one more too. I want to feel safe. When the goal reasons overlap, then you can ask yourself why they overlap. That's interesting. Laurie asked that. What about when the goal reasons overlap? As in, my goals are alignment and spiritual connections. So that's wonderful when they overlap, I think. Then everything that happens, you can just ask yourself, how does that make you feel when that overlaps? So what is your interpretation of it? I think it's very interesting that they overlap. It means that your goals are connected. Okay, so now we kind of looked at the why. Now the next step that we do is actually draw some neurographic lines. Everybody's probably wondering, we're doing a drawing and we're not doing any lines. So I quickly want to demonstrate and just very briefly explain to anyone who's completely new what we're talking about. So now we just created a few different shapes and they overlap each other, they're connected to each other. What we want to do next is we're going to draw what we call neurographic lines. And for everyone who already knows what to do, we're going to draw them through the circles and out of the triangle. Out of the point, you can draw it, or kind of out of the side, wherever it goes. As we know, we don't have to control the lines. They just go however they go. So for anyone who's completely new, what do I mean by neurographic line? It is a line that mimics nature. You can imagine a river flowing or a plant growing. And what I try to do when I draw the lines is I try to not control it. I just allow my hand to go. I observe the line as it moves through the paper. So every single line is different and they don't have a pattern. So it's not like a sinus curve or anything like that that always goes up and down and up and down. It is a little bit chaotic. You can allow your inner kind of chaotic self to come out a little bit. And if you're completely new, just go with it, just experience it, just try it out. What we do is we observe. So just like we did in the beginning, when I invited you all into this very brief meditative moment, we can observe our body, we can observe our emotions, as well as our thoughts while we draw the line. And as I said, it can connect all these different circles together. So I'm going to move through my circles and then out of the top, And if you have your picture the other way around, like this, you go, of course, upwards. So you can also feel into this upward motion and kind of, yeah, just experience it, no? And just kind of see, what does it do to your body? How does it feel to move like that when I go through my whys, the reasons why I want something in my life. And then I move out and I can imagine, okay, I'm moving this out into the universe. So it's like I'm setting the intention. I'm sending this out and really just feeling into that. And I'm going to draw like 2 or 3 lines with every one of my goals, just as much as feels right. And allowing every line to be different. And maybe you can feel a difference between the 3 goals that you set. Or just explore whatever there is for you to see right now. I'm going to draw one more line just for fun. And then we're going to go into the next step, which is connecting everything together with what we can call rounding, what I like to call rounding the corners. So rounding is one of the practices that we do in literally every single Neurographica drawing. And what we do when we round is wherever 2 lines cross, or wherever my line crosses my circles, for example, I have this kind of X shape or like whatever shape. No, I can go through and see like wherever lines cross each other, they have these little overlaps. So what I do is I go into this space and make a curve. And I like to imagine that I'm kind of like driving down this pathway, and then I go into the curve. I like to go over lines again, so I'm just going to follow the lines that I see there, and I want to create smooth connections so that instead of having these harsh kind of corners there, I have beautiful, round, smooth connections. And whenever you have little spaces show up in between, you can just explore the little spaces and imagine that I have a shape here and I'm just making this a rounded shape. Just making this a shape that is all round everywhere. So we're going to go and do this throughout the drawing. And Daya asked about the recording. Yes, you will get the recording. Absolutely. And we're just going to give this, I'm going to say maybe a 10-minute, maybe a little bit more. We'll see. This does not have to be perfect. And I invite you to really connect with your picture. You can again invite your mind to just kind of ponder, see if you can go even deeper into your whys, for example, if you can just bring a little bit more inquiry and just connect to your goals and see, how do they feel now that I've sent this out into the universe? How do I feel about it? How does my body feel? Do I feel excited about it? Do I feel that this is really, really important to me? Or do I feel like, oh, maybe, I don't know, do I actually want this? You can ask yourself these questions while you are connecting everything together, rounding all the little corners, going into all the little spaces in between. And whenever I have a lot overlapping, I just literally color it in. And as I said, doesn't have to be perfect. And just breathing, becoming aware of yourself, connecting with your body, with your emotions, with whatever is happening in your mind. Not everything has to be rounded. It's not a must. And if the little corners in the triangles are bothering you, you can round them, but you don't have to. In this algorithm, we're actually working with the power of the triangle to propel us forward. And so it can be really interesting to experience that. And kind of feel, okay, like we have this pokey end there. How does that make you feel? Do you want to round it? Do you feel like, this might be too much? Then, of course, you do round it. But maybe it also feels energizing. And I'm going to try to round a little bit quicker now, since I lost a few minutes from losing the internet. So we're going to give it maybe another 5, 6, 7 minutes. We'll see. So you can just take your time with this. Remember to breathe and connecting to what is there in your picture. Connecting to the words, connecting to the underlying ideas. Connecting to the emotions that may come up or that may be related to that. And just asking yourself if you can dig a little bit deeper. Maybe you can even think beyond the ideas that you wrote down in your picture. And then keep coming back to your breath, relaxing into the process and just allowing it to unfold. Maybe there's even unknown relations between your goals, or things that might just come up now where you see, oh, they might be related somehow. I just had that kind of thought, okay, my growing my business also might actually help me maybe have the money to travel, maybe be able to make the time to travel. I can also feel into that. Allowing the mind to wander. And really allowing everything to be connected, because in the end everything will be connected in our picture, but of course also in life. You know, our life is one. So all our ideas and our goals Since they come from the same mind, the same heart, the same person, they will be connected. And we can, of course, also feel into that. See, how are they connected? What does it feel like? Are they supporting each other? Oh, and a few more deep breaths. Give it one more minute so that I can maybe make it more or less to where my picture is rounded. And you can always come back to this process as well. So if you don't get everything perfectly done now, especially if you're new to this, don't worry. It's all a kind of practice. You can come back to this. Whenever you're ready, or even at the end, or even when our picture is in theory completed, you can go back and just round more if you want to do that, if that feels good. Okay, so now the question is, where does all of this take us? Well, now we kind of went into the depths and asked ourselves, where does it come from? Why do I want this? Now, the next question would be, what do I expect? Now, our expectations. They are also something that is often very closely connected to goals and something that we rarely think about. Now, what are the expectations that I have with this? If I, for example, think about growing my business, what are the expectations I have? I expect to probably have to work more, which is an expectation that might actually keep me from going about it. Because now that my business is like medium, not so big, I don't have to work so much. For instance, I have a hard time with lines getting thick. That then is probably connected to your drawing tool. So I always recommend trying out all kinds of different pens so you can just, try the process again with a different marker, with a thinner one maybe. But yeah, so let's look up. Like for you, if you have the picture turned, this would be upward. For me, it's like on the right side. So I look into the future and ask myself, okay, what do I actually expect from that? What do I see as the outcome when I ask myself, what's going to happen if, what, how is it going to look? What do I see in the future? And we're going to draw circles again. So I'm going to draw a circle here and say one of the expectations that I might have with growing my business is that I might have to work more. And this is kind of like a expectation that might actually keep me back, because do I really want to work more? I don't know. So asking these questions can be very, very helpful in finding out why we go about certain things and why we might kind of not really, even though we think that we want something, we might not go for it. We might not put in the work. So yeah, and this can be, for example, the thing with health goals. What would it mean? What would I have to do? What are my expectations? So we're just going to spend a few minutes with that, and again going through each one, and you can add as many circles as you can fit. Basically, they can be bigger or smaller. Another expectation that I have is that I would make more money, which would be something that would make it worth it for me, no? would be a reason that would kind of pull me towards it in a way. I would be more seen, which I don't know, something that I may have to think about more. I would get better at it. Oh, I can have a lot of thoughts. And as I said, this drawing, if I was to make it on a bigger piece of paper, for example, or with a thinner pen, I could like add much more things. Here it's just to show you what it's all about. Get better, improve. Yeah, that feels good. Now I can also see, okay, what do my expectations feel like? And again, connecting to yourself, connecting to your body, to your heart, to your emotions, to your thoughts. What comes up when you bring this into your mind, when you open up these spaces? Hmm. And allow your mind to take you to places that are maybe even unfamiliar, thoughts that you hadn't thought about. I just had this thought that life events are going to take me to paradise. I don't know how that's going to happen, what that's going to look like, but that was the thought I had. So even like random thoughts like that, just allow them to be in the picture. They all have their place there. Hmm. And as I said, we could also, of course, bring this into an infinite, almost inquiry. Continue drawing. One cool thing that I just want to share, just for fun, is if you ever feel like, oh, I would love to know how this goes on, there's so much more that I think of, you can always make the picture more by just putting another empty piece of paper on top and continuing. This is the magic of Neurographica. One thing that I really love about it, I could just say, okay, just gonna go for it and say there's something else here that I don't even know what it is. Now, sometimes there might also be a circle that I don't know what it is. It's great to them doing this for their live events now that I hadn't even thought that I wanted this. Now this is going to be interesting for me to explore. And now we're going to round again. So now we're going to round everywhere where the circles cross the lines, and just spend another 5, 6, 7 minutes connecting to that. And again, feeling into it, connecting to what do these expectations bring up in you? What kind of feelings are connected to them? Do you feel excitement? Or, do you feel worry maybe somewhere too? Or whatever comes up, whatever thought, feeling, even body sensation, we're just here to pay attention. We're just here to notice, become aware of what's happening inside of us when we connect to these ideas. And as I said, here I'm just kind of going into the spaces in between the lines and making them into little round shapes, happy little round shapes, or oval shapes, egg-shaped shapes. Just being in the process. And again, connecting to your breath. Oh, good. Thank you, Gwen, for the question. Gwen says, if I have a circle that is not touching anything else, assuming I just connected with a neurographic line, yes, you were connected with a neurographic line. Yeah, we don't want to have anything that's disconnected. So if you have a circle that's just floating in space, I would draw another line from the bottom up, connecting to that circle. So connecting the original goal to that expectation or outcome. And feeling into what it feels like now that it's connected. How it changes it if it has a base there. And of course I can also look at, I have a bunch of circles overlapping, where I can feel into that. See what comes up in my mind when I look at them. Ooh, I have some body sensations coming up as I'm going through these here. And being seen. More work. I'm gonna laugh about myself here a little bit. Because of course those are expectations that I might even take on from the world, no? It might not necessarily mean that I actually have to work more. It is just what people say. If you want more, you gotta work more. But I can, of course, also question that. I can question all of these as beliefs. And I can already do this in this drawing. Of course, this is something that we go much, much deeper into in the course, where we really, really explore these things deeper. So as I said, this is just a first kind of outlook, what it might feel like to work with your goals, with just goals in general. Okay, so let's give it one more minute. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. If not every little corner is rounded, you're okay. You can always go back to that. And it's really just about kind of making time to connect with what you see on the paper, connect with all the ideas that are in there, and feel whatever comes up. Connect to your own intuition, your subconscious. That's what Neurographica is all about. Okay. This feels good. Now that I'm in the traveling, I'm like, yeah, this is great. Like my body feels different, which is really nice. If you have like goals that are different from each other, for example, you can really feel into that. Or really feel what does this one feel? What does that one feel? Okay, so next we will go into coloring. Haha, one of my favorite steps. The way I usually do that, I work with colored pencils. If you have other coloring tools, that's okay too. Of course, every single coloring tool will have, different abilities, will work in different ways, but there is no real right or wrong. What I like to do is I just pick a color and I just go absolutely intuitively, the one that kind of calls me, the one that I feel drawn to, which today is this red. And then I ask myself, where does it want to go in the picture? So what we don't do is we're not going to color every single segment a different color. We will allow the color to move in the drawing. We can, of course, say that, for example, I feel drawn to a certain element in my drawing. I'm going to say adventure, for example. Got adventure here, and I feel like, oh, red is like the perfect color for that. So I'm just going to start here, but then I'm not just going to color this circle red, but the color can also help us to create more connection. I don't have to even color the entire circle. I can just go in and start coloring wherever I feel it. And then, as I said, move with the color, allowing the color to be a dynamic thing in your drawing. I like to kind of follow the flows. There are many, many, many different ways of working with that. And we will explore some specific ways to work with color, sometimes kind of emphasizing certain elements with the color. But in this drawing, just as for the beginning, especially if you're new, just allow yourself to be guided by your intuitive feeling of where the color wants to go. And it can go with the lines, it can go into the background, it can go into in-between spaces. And I will just feel into where it's going for me today. As much as feels right. And then I'm just going to pick the next one and continue there. Got this like yellow sunny color. And as I said, you could even go outside of the spaces. I kind of have this background here. It's not about coloring everything in. So this is not like what we probably all learned in kindergarten. It doesn't have to be neat. We can go over lines. We're just flowing with it. And here's really a moment where we allow whatever comes up to come up. Allowing the inner child to play. Oh, and there's someone who came very late. You will get a recording. Yes. You signed up and you're on my mailing list now. I'm going to send out the recording. This one, green maybe. And so, as I said, just allowing yourself to play and to explore with the help of color. There's no right or wrong way. And this is all about playfulness and flow. So we're just going to give this maybe 10 minutes for the coloring. And allowing the color to connect different parts of the drawing together. We don't want to have every circle isolated in its own way. We want to make connection, and we can also make that with a color. And again, feeling into it, connecting to the inner journey, the story that comes up with it. And maybe again, your eyes just rest on certain elements. I've come back to this being seen circle so many times. It's like a important one, it seems to me. And it feels very exciting. Also a little bit scary, but just connecting to whatever happens inside of you. And again, without judging it, there's no certain way you have to feel right now. My ask, I'm wondering if the concept of Neurographica allows for improvisation by maybe drawing or doodling into the empty spaces. I would love to answer this one in depth. But what we do here is pure Neurographica, so there is definitely a kind of idea of purity in the Neurographica community. I am of the mindset that it's art, and if you feel like you want to play with it, you can. But usually in Neurographica we don't doodle. We don't add any patterns, for example. We want to get away from patterns, and there is a lot of reasoning behind that I'm not going to be able to get into today, but maybe I'm going to do a Q&A about these things at some point in the future, because that's a good question. It's a very interesting question to explore. So I hope that helps for right now. I'm going to say what we do here, what this course is about, is certain techniques, and they do have, I'm going to say, boundaries. But then on the other hand, I am a teacher who is all about breaking the rules. So we learn rules, and then we can, of course, go our own way. But that will absolutely take it out of the realm of Neurographica, of what we call Neurographica. A little exploration here on the side. Yeah, and that's actually a little bit even like a controversial question. So there is some controversy about that. But then on the other hand, I feel the very center of what Neurographica is about is that we observe ourselves when we create. And we can, of course, apply that principle to other practices. I don't really know a lot about I know that there's Zentangle, for example, but I don't know if you do any self-observation, if you pay attention to your thoughts and feelings and body while you Zentangle, for example. So that is something that you can apply, though, where you can bring a principle of Neurographica into another space. But then, of course, you wouldn't call that Neurographica. So the rules here are actual rules. And then we can work with them. So I hope that helps. I hope that clears a little bit at least. Oh. Deborah says my circles are more oblong and they are bothering me. I feel like I would rather have round object to outline. Why are they oblong, or why you would like some round? I don't know that. We work with circles. One of the reasons why we use circles in the first place is because they are very easy to digest for the mind. They are an almost perfect shape, and they are harmonious within. They are the most harmonious shape that we can have. Also, we can find them in nature, which is a really interesting one. The reason why this bothers you, I can't say. You gotta ask yourself this. Might be a good one for your self-inquiry. Why they turn out not perfectly round. I'm always gonna say, this is like absolute practice. I have literally drawn thousands of circles ever since I started drawing Neurographica. So just keep drawing. Your circles are going to be rounder. What this can teach you, though, is maybe a little bit about perfectionism, about the way you judge what you do, about the way you perceive the things as imperfect. So those would be questions that I would ask. So if we were in a one-on-one session, I would definitely go deeper with that, and we would totally explore that. As an ad hoc kind of a question and answer, I can't give you an explanation about that. I'm sorry. But yeah, with these things, whenever something comes up and it bothers you in a drawing, then ask yourself, why does it bother me? What bothers you? Does it bother you that it's not perfect, that it's not what you wanted, that it's not like you think it should be? Those are often things that come up with that. And that's then, of course, where we can explore our inner patterns. Maybe, kind of beliefs that we hold, ideas that we have about what we should or shouldn't do, what we are capable of, what's good or bad. So that would be kind of the direction I would go with this. So I hope that helps. I'm never going to have perfect answers, and I'm never going to be able to interpret your picture. You will have to interpret your own picture. And as I said, if something bothers you about your picture, then that's absolutely a sign to inquire with yourself. Oh, she continued. Does it show my inharmonies, inner, or am I a perfectionist? Exactly. That's the question for yourself. Beautiful. I'm glad that my answer is right on. I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, I mean, and you're not alone with that. No, just letting you know. Many, many, many people carry those things inside, and it is something that Neurographica can actually help us overcome. No, it can help us kind of be with the imperfection and feel into it and become acquainted and familiar and probably also kind of ease up on ourselves a little bit. That's definitely something that I work with. You know, kind of learning to be okay with it, learning to be okay with my own imperfections. Okay. So now I hope everyone has fun coloring. You can again, come back to that, just continue coloring. I'm going to go into the last few steps just because it is time. So what we will do now is I would like to call it today a line of intention. It's one of the elements that we draw in Neurographica that's officially called the field line. But we can give that line meaning, of course, like we can give every single element in our drawing meaning. So I can ask myself again and really kind of looking at the entire story. The goal that I have, the whys, the expectations that I have, and now I can say, okay, what kind of intention do I want to send out into the universe? I'm just looking at my growing my business. I would like to establish stability, but not work more. These are like two things that came up for me that kind of feel important. And I can just, kind of feel into that. What would that feel like? What would it be like if that was an option? And if it's only my mind that tells me, oh no, that's not possible, if you want more, you gotta work more. So I can explore now with this line really an intention that I want to send out. What do I want to bring in? What is the big dream that I want to connect to this? So I can draw a completely new line. I can also follow lines that are already there. And I'm going to go again from one edge of the paper to the other. And it's going from one edge from, the deepest reason why to my expectation. And I can even imagine that it goes beyond. No, that is something that we can't just imagine. And so I'm gonna find a way that my line wants to go. And as I said, it can follow pathways that are already there. It can find its own pathway, just as whatever feels good. And then what I like to do is go back and forth. So I'm going to go from my expectations to my goal to my whys. And then I'm going to go again from my why to my goal and to my expectation and just creating this connection between them. And again, kind of feeling into it. And every time I do that, my line will get a little bit thicker. So my line will change to where after a few times, it will stand out visually. And this is what we're aiming for here. I hope that even if you can't see me, you can understand what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to go again and round it out. Make sure that this line is absolutely connected to everything. That it is flowing, smooth, that there is no super harsh corners. And I feel like this line is really touching all these elements on the way. And I like to really just spend a little moment with that, kind of feel into the sensation where it goes, allowing myself to think about what I think is possible or where I maybe have limiting beliefs, well, things like that. As saying that as I go through the circle that says I got to work more, which is great. This might be one of my limiting beliefs. Who knows? Maybe at some point I'm going to have it established to where it's going to be full of ease and beauty. And of course I'm going to work and I'm going to be motivated, but it's not going to have this feeling of, oh my God, this is so hard. This is what I want. Now I can ask myself one more time, what do I really want here? How do I want to feel with this? And I'm going to do this like 3 times through each one of my goals. So each one of my goals, each one of my pathways there gets its own thick line. And as I said, again, we're going to go from my why through my goal and into my expectations. And then backwards, down again, or for me, it's from left to right. For you, if you're working with going up and down, you're going to go up and down. And you can even imagine drawing this towards you as you move down. And sending it back out. And one more time, drawing it towards and feeling into anything that comes up with it. Making the connection in your brain. And Neurographica works with neuroplasticity, so we can really imagine that we establish new thoughts, new ideas in our brains with the help of the drawing. So this is why I like to go over elements again and again and again. That's why I love to do the rounding again and again and again, because it connects me deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's almost like the repetition. Well, I repeat this process. I go through my goals again. I look at them again. I see all the words that are wrote, if they're still readable. Some might be covered up, but I connect to the ideas again. I connect to the feeling that I have about that again. And I establish that as a possibility in my mind. Now I'm going to do one more. So we're going to give it another 2 minutes or so. And this one as well, as always, you can go back to it later or just take your time with it. I like to really take time with these. And inviting everyone to connect back to your breath, connect back to your body, being here now with whatever comes up for you. Okay. And now the last step of the process that we can think of today, that I invite you to think of today, is looking at your goals again and asking yourself, which one am I going to go about first? And really almost like making it a plan, almost like I kind of like to make it very tangible at the end, where I ask myself, okay, what can I do that helps me move towards this? Even, what can I do today? Funny, I see like today, just making this workshop is actually already part of my great plan to make my business grow. So for me, it's definitely going to be this. I invite you to choose one of your triangles if that feels aligned. If anything else showed up, though, that is important for you, you can also emphasize that. What I mean by emphasize is that I'm just going to go and make the outline of this one triangle here bigger, make it stand out more, make it to where when I look at this drawing tomorrow, in a week, even later, I will be reminded that this was one of my goals, and I can again kind of connect to it. So this is literally setting a reminder for ourselves that is easy to see. We want our brain to be easily imprinted here, so that if I put my picture up in my room, for example, which I like to do after a process like this, I would just place it somewhere where I could see it every now and then. I like to literally stand in front of my pictures and stare at them sometimes, or just have them, I have like a little pin wall kind of hanging there, and then just peek at it out of the corner of my eye and be reminded. So I hope that makes sense for you. So this is really where we can say, okay, I'm setting an intention. No, this is intentional now. My other two goals that kind of came out in my process, they were more surprising. I can, of course, also see how they are connected. So I hope that this resonates with you somehow, somewhere, and that you enjoyed the process. Now I'm gonna just spend maybe 5 minutes, I think, to share just a little bit more about the course. And then I invite everyone to stay, and we can just share a little bit if you have time. So the NeuroGoal course will start next Friday. It's going to be a 4-week course where we meet every Friday. I usually have the meetings at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which is, I think, 7 p.m. in Europe, and 10 would be 1 p.m. I think on the East Coast. Not 100% sure. And in this course, we will look at goals from many different perspectives, because there is much more to it than just like, oh, I want this, I set the goal, cool, now we go. Most of the time, and that's might be a really nice reflection too, a really nice inquiry. What makes us stick to our goals? What makes us let them go? No, what kind of, sometimes life happens and then the goals don't matter anymore, especially if they're big and far away. So as I said, like if I set a goal in like 2 or 3 or 5 years, then it might actually be harder for me to stick to it. So we're going to look at how we can break them down, how we can make them tangible, how we can even realize that we're on the right path. What are the steps that take us there? What are the ways to overcome our inner boundaries, our limiting beliefs, our limiting patterns, all these things. And then one thing that I really love about this course, we're also going to look at celebrating when we made it, which I feel is something that we don't do enough in our culture. Most of the time, it's like, oh, there's just the next goal. And a lot of society lives in a kind of mentality of there's always the next better thing. So I never spend the moment to really acknowledge myself to where I've got. And so there's a drawing about that too, which I really, really love. And I absolutely want to share that with everyone, with the whole world. Um, so now maybe, are there any questions? Maybe we go about like that. Are there questions? Oh wait, there was a question in the very beginning where I said I'm going to answer that later. Couldn't find the question again. Where was it? Oh, whoever remembers that I said I'm going to answer your question later, could you please post the question again? I'm not sure. Oh yeah. There you go. Valerie asked, do you accept completion of the basic course from other instructors? Yes. Neurographica is a system that has a big school, so to say, a worldwide big school with many, many different instructors that work in many, many different languages. And we do accept each other's certificates. Same like the Institute of Psychology of Creativity Institute will accept the certificates that I give you. So this is a certified course, meaning that at the end, the way I do it right now, this might change in the future, is that I actually have one-on-one meetings with people where we talk about the drawings. I find those very helpful, and I know that a lot of my students really find them helpful too, because it's in a way someone else looking at your picture. I often have crazy ideas too that I like to share. And yes, the course is only for advanced people, which means that you need to have the basic user course. So you start with Neurographica Basics, and in this case, really, I feel it's very, very important to actually have the basics in your toolbox, because we work with kind of triggering themes and elements. We work a lot with triangles. We work with stars, which is made out of triangles. So there is a lot of potential to trigger ourselves, and then it's really, really good if you can just go and sit down and make a catharsis and release the stress. So that's one of the reasons why we need to have the basic course before. I do have the basics course as recordings. Yes, you can absolutely sign up for that. And do I have a Pluto offer? I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Laurie, can you explain what Pluto offer means? I do have the basics course with recordings at the moment. I will probably not teach it live anytime soon. Maybe at the end of the year, but not anytime soon. So if you want to do the basics now, you can do it with recordings. I have taught this course 8 times, so you get recordings of 8 different courses that basically have the same content, but of course there's different student, different. Okay, autocorrect. Great. Okay, yeah, interesting, because I've thought a lot about Pluto energy. But yeah, I do offer the basics course. I can maybe type the link into this one actually, or you can find, I'm going to type the link into my website, and you can find all my courses there. I'm also going to, when I send out the email with a recording link, I'm going to send my website, and there you can explore that. And I do allow my basic user student. So if you start the basics course and you do at least the first 2 classes, then I'm going to be okay with you starting this course. So for me, it's not so much about having the certificate, it's more about having the tool, being connected to the tool. Because as I said, if we work with the goals and something comes out where you're like suddenly totally stressed out about it, I want you to have the tool to release the stress and kind of work through that. So I hope that makes sense. And anything else? Any other questions? There are other ways to work with me. Maybe I mentioned that too. I have, as I said, a lot of courses that are online, a lot of different algorithms, including the beginner's course. I also work one-on-one with people. So if you have specific themes that you want to work with and where you want support with it, you can explore that as well. And thank you to Paula, who's having to leave us. Oh, she says, thank you so much for guiding this beautiful experience, a new way to observe my internal world. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for this feedback. That's exactly what it's about. Observing our inner world, connecting to our inner world, and finding out what is in there. Okay, so then I will close the recording. And if anybody wants to share some private stuff that you don't want on the recording, that's fine with me too. Gwen is just finishing the basics course. Yeah, you best write me an email. I'm going to send you my calendar link. But as I said, like if you don't have the certificate yet, but you did the basics course with me, I'm going to absolutely allow you to be in the next course. As I said, for me, it's less about like everybody needs to have the certificate and more about you need to have the tool. You need to be able to, work through difficulties if they come up. Okay, then I'm going to say thank you to everyone who's watching the recording or live. I would love to see your pictures as always, say my last sentence. I have a Facebook group where I would love to have everyone share their pictures. It would be wonderful to see some colors in there. And it does not matter if you haven't taken early advanced algorithms. I know that maybe I say a little bit more about that. The advanced algorithms, they come in a sequence that Pavlik created, known as algorithm 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're at algorithm 8, but they are all complete courses in themselves. It can be beneficial if you have studied earlier algorithms, especially algorithm 2 that introduces triangles as a shape to work with. But the processes that we work with in NeuroGoal, they are very structured. So it's not necessary. It is, of course, it's going to give you like maybe more understanding, but you can absolutely work with NeuroGoal if you only have the basics course. And yes, my Facebook group is an open group. It's not public, but it is open to anyone. Like you don't need to have taken any courses to be in my group. Maybe I can share the group as well real quick. This should be the group link, hopefully. Beautiful. Yes, Deborah, please come into the basics course. The circles are still bothering me. All right. Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah. I mean, I absolutely recommend the basics to everyone. It is a different process than what we did today, even though there's some similarities always, of course. We work with same elements. But yeah, the basics is the course to start working on your own themes. And we'll start working through your inner processes and really kind of tap into what it's like to work on yourself with the help of drawing. And then from there, we can go in many, many different directions. And as I said, I am of the mindset, or I know that every single advanced algorithm course is its own entity. It is complete in itself. So it's not a must to have studied other algorithm courses, even though it can be beneficial. But I believe, even if you do the second algorithm, the neuro composition after NeuroGoal, you're still going to learn so much and you're going to understand it from a different perspective. So it's going to be beneficial either way. Okay, so that's my end now. Thank you, thank you, thank you.